everyone, welcome to Durham University Business School. I'm sorry it's so warm in here. I think we've made it as cool as we can, and I'll go through things as fast as I can so we can get out in the cool breeze. So I'm going to run through some different slides to show you a bit of an overview about the university and more specifically about our business and management programme. Can you hear me okay at the back? Because sometimes this mic works. Okay. So if I speak a bit louder, can you hear at the back? Okay, I will project my voice throughout this. I know sometimes this happens. I do teach in this room, so it's a little bit like this at times. So I'm Dr. Helen Gavorek. I'm Associate Professor in Marketing. So I teach on the marketing and the business and management programmes, undergrad students and postgrad students. I lead one of the modules in the second year, which I'll come on to. I'm also an academic advisor for students, so I'll discuss that. Can I just check, does it make any difference if I'm using the mic or if I'm over here and just projecting my voice? Is it okay if it's the same? Okay, I won't stick to the lectern the whole time then. Okay, so just to run through some of the key points about Durham University, I'm going to start more broadly and then narrow down to the more specific details that you're looking at. I won't go through every detail that's on the slides because I realise that a lot of this information you can pick up and I can't fit it all into 20 minutes. So the university, founded in 1832, makes it the third university in the country. Up to that point, Oxford and Cambridge argued that there was no need for any more universities in the country. So that's when it changed in law, and we were able to set up in Durham Castle, which we know as University College. So that's part of our premises. The rankings, of course, change from year to year. They change depending on which body it is that's assessing the universities. But overall, we're ranked 82nd in the world as a university. Within the UK, we're usually in the top 10, quite high up in the top 10. And so it's useful to compare different sources on that. And at the moment, we're 6th in both Guardian and the Complete University Guide. We have 4 academic faculties, of which the business school is one. And I know that's confusing because we call ourselves school, and that's to fall in line with the rest of the business schools throughout the country. But a faculty is usually a bigger area than a school. And we are, in fact, out of our faculties, we are the biggest faculty. So it's a particularly central and popular part of the university. So we have 26 departments and schools throughout the university, of which we obviously have 4 within our area. There's also 17 colleges, so I'll talk a little bit more about the colleges, and one of our students, Brianna, is here to give you the student perspective as well, because this is what I've found to be one of the different things about Durham. It does happen in some other unis, but different to some of the other places that I've worked. And the residential colleges might be called halls of residence in other universities, but they're much more than just halls of residence. And it tends to be, you don't necessarily just think of yourself as a business school student if you're here, but you might be somebody who's from, say, Josephine Butler College or University College, etc. And there's a real sense of identity and community around the colleges. So for comparison, think of it as halls of residence with lots of extras. So they have usually have their own bar, they have their own gym, they have their own music room, a small library, etc. And we offer a variety of pastoral care to support our students, separate from their learning side of things, separate from their specific subject studies. And that happens not just within the business school, but also within the colleges. So there are people that you can go and talk to if there are any issues that you want to discuss about your performance or your life in general. So we've got a big estate. We own a lot of the premises within Durham City. Obviously, it's a tiny city in itself, but many of the premises are owned and run by the university. The ancient monument being the castle, and then many other old buildings, but also lots of modern space such as this, and then we have brand new buildings such as Teaching and Learning Centre. So we have over 20,000 students. That's not far off the total population of Durham, the permanent population there. So many of our students are overseas students. About 15,000 are undergraduate, but that proportion is a bit different in the business school, where we have a very high emphasis on postgraduate studies as well. So reflecting our position as a university in the rankings, our students tend to be considered within the top 10% of the UK. We have over 4,000 academic members of staff, and although it's not mentioned here, just as importantly, we have a huge amount of what we call professional services staff who make sure that all the administration runs effectively, etc. So we also have thousands additional to that. We have many of our academics from overseas, and that's because we go for world-leading academics who are known for their research and teaching. We are a charitable entity, but we also have a huge amount of financial input to the UK economy overall, and especially to the County Durham and the North East economy. So we have a lot of support for different jobs, etc., and we're very industry focused as well as being research focused. And this is what I found, having worked at various universities. At Durham, I feel we've really got that balance between having lots of research but also knowing what's needed in industry and having lots of different collaborations with industry. So we have spin-out companies. That's one of the aspects that we have in terms of links with companies. So we're often at the cutting edge of new developments in different areas. So you can see that we've got a spin-out about graphene technology there. We have many that are related to sustainability and digital innovation as well. We play a big part in the tourism sector here. So after the castle, we are the second most popular place, our premises in Durham, for people to visit overall. And I hope you'll get a chance, if you haven't seen them already. Palace Green is the green space between the castle and the cathedral. We've got the Oriental Museum, which we're just up the road from, which is just up that way, if you want to have a look there. And the Botanic Garden, which is over the road, the other side of South Road, which is acres of woodland. Lots of our science and particularly biology students get involved in the Botanic Garden. And if students live in some of the colleges, which we call the hill colleges, which are up this side of the campus, if they're walking down to their studies on the main campus, they'll often walk through the Botanic Garden to get there. So we've got both that city area and then almost immediately out in the countryside as well. Our students dedicate a lot of time to volunteering. Our staff do as well. So we have lots of opportunities that are given for students to select something that they're interested in, to get more experience and to be able to help others. We have many research and knowledge transfer activities, as you might expect, which generate a huge amount of value added for the UK economy. And that might be with companies which are local to us. So Procter & Gamble has a base nearby, but it obviously is a huge company as well. And then international, multinational companies like IBM. So there are too many companies to mention, but we will try and refer to some of them here. So these are companies that we have links with, but more specifically, we've made the selection of those where our graduates are or have been in senior positions there. So obviously we've picked out some of the ones that you would be more familiar with, but there are many other companies as well on different scales. And many of our students, for example, do their own startup companies or get employed by startups. So I think Neil Hunt, who worked for Netflix and is a major donor to Durham University, worked with them at quite an early stage. So some of the future big companies our students are already getting involved in as well. We also have alumni who are involved in delivering the programme, managing our programmes and lots of the activities at the university. So some of our senior staff have also studied here. So we have a blend of some people who are local or were students here, going right through to people from many different countries. So across the university, I think we represent about 100 different countries. So if I was giving you a lecture in here, I wouldn't use such tiny text, but just to give you an overview of this, because there's so much to fit in to tell you about the university. We're split into 4 different faculties. The business school is the largest one, and it actually it's a bit bigger than it says on here. We've got the management and marketing department, which is the one that I work within and the one that primarily this programme is situated in. We've got economics, accounting, and then finance is a separate department. But we do find that because of the choices on some of the modules, you could be sitting in this lecture theatre alongside someone who is studying one of the other subjects, or even somebody who's from one of the other faculties because they've chosen an optional module in the business school. So we don't work on a very narrow focus of just staying within your department. We make sure there are lots of connections at different levels at the university and externally. So with the largest faculty, we've got over 5,000 students. We've got way more than 200 teaching academic staff, and we've got more than 100 support staff as well working with us. So these are our key areas of expertise, and we offer not just BA Honours, but we also have Masters of Business Administration, Master of Science in Marketing, Management, etc. You can do a Doctor of Philosophy here as well. And we also have a Doctor of Business Administration, which is a slightly different version of a PhD, which is much more business focused and module based. So there's some of the main courses that we offer, and we sometimes find that our students stay with us for their undergrad, then go on to do a master's and maybe a PhD with us. And like most universities, we tend to give a discount if somebody stays with us for a master's. So you can see this is where we are at the moment. We are accredited to 3 different key organisations, AMBER, EQUIS and AACSB. And this means that we're very much nationally recognised as triple accredited, which most business schools are not. So it means that the quality of what we're doing is validated at this national level. So there's only a small group of us that have got this triple accreditation. So our business school is integral to our university, and our vision overall is to lead business thought and practice to improve global wealth and well-being. So we're not just thinking about the financial side. Obviously, I know you'll realise that that's important, particularly so in business nowadays. So we're thinking much more broadly about social and environmental issues and sustainability as well, and that's integrated within our teaching. We wouldn't have all those accreditations if we didn't already do those things. So what we aim to do is develop and enthuse leaders. So we're not just trying to pass on information, we're really trying to get people interested in different aspects of the business and to be engaged. So a lot of our people go on to be leaders and entrepreneurs in their own right. And we want them to use that knowledge to deliver equitable and sustainable futures around the world. So there is a focus on this sustainability side, and I mentioned that from my own point of view as well. So I'm involved in various sustainable business groups at a national level, and then also personally filter that into all of the teaching that I do. I'm not teaching any sustainability modules. I'm teaching marketing, but with an emphasis on the fact that we need to be more sustainable. And my research is into sustainability. We find that over 95% of students in the university are in employment, or they're studying for a high degree within 6 months of graduating. And we're among the top 3 for employment for both The Guardian and the Complete University Guide. And just some examples of where our students have gone to work recently. So we aim for research-led education. We have an internal magazine called Impact, which has been award-winning, and within that we're able to share the ideas that we're picking up from our research with the rest of our colleagues, and more broadly than that. So the staff are divided into research clusters, so a little bit like the college system here. So we work within departments, but if you're interested in innovation and technology management, as I am, I might be working with someone in economics on that as well, even though I'm in the marketing department. So we encourage collaboration between the staff, and then we reflect that in the teaching that we do. And there's too many to list there, but we do have other research groups. We've got some new ones coming through. So looking at the more specific detail, which I know is mainly what you've come here for, the programme for business and management is consistent with the current QAA subject benchmarks, which were set in 2019. So that means we're in line with the national level for the courses that we deliver. And of course, they're also concurrent with our university business school strategy. We regularly audit. We're looking every year at the courses that we do and how we might update those, how we might change them from perhaps a minor level of giving a different subject for a lecture up to a major level of introducing a new module for students to choose from, or a new course for them to apply to. So I won't go through all the details that are on all the slides here, but really to look at that key point at the top. If you're doing business and management, the idea is that you've got very broad and generalist knowledge of business to do that. So if you are thinking maybe, I'm possibly interested in the finance area, but I'm not absolutely sure that that's just what I want to do, then you can obviously go for this programme, pick up some information about finance, but not necessarily have to make that decision right now. And what you can do is make some choices of options while you're here, so that that can be almost customised to your particular interests in business and management. What I've found through my own research and experience, so I've been lecturing for over 25 years, and to my surprise, because I did do a more narrowly focused degree, we find that most employers are not necessarily looking for a very focused, specific set of subject information from their employees. They're looking more for transferable skills. They want you to do a degree so you can show that you must be able to get up in the mornings, you must be able to get somewhere, you must be able to meet deadlines, you must be reliable. And obviously if you come to Durham University, that says something in any case, that you're the quality of person that they want working for them. And obviously it's not just your own marks, but also the reputation of the university that goes alongside that. I know how difficult it is to decide. My son is also studying, so this time last year I was on your side of the fence watching presentations, etc. So I do empathise with all of you as parents and also students trying to make these decisions, trying to go for the best university that you can or the most appropriate course, but also not knowing yet exactly what your A-level grades are. So I do appreciate that it's a difficult time in some senses, but also exciting and interesting, hopefully. So we have, on this programme, we have a mix of core and optional modules. So core are compulsory. They're the things that we know that you really require in business and that companies expect of you, but you do have some choices of options which change from year to year. sometimes when you're doing those core modules, you don't necessarily understand the relevance of them until you're out in business a few years later, and then you think, okay, that wasn't necessarily my favourite module, but I understand now why I had to do that. So I have the benefit of looking back over my career and seeing how that works, but I know it's hard as a student at this stage to make those decisions. So in terms of subject-specific knowledge, we want to develop advanced knowledge and understanding of the complex nature of organisations. All organisations differ, departments within organisations differ, so we're not trying to tell you how every different company works, but we're giving you general information that will help you to work successfully in a variety of different types of organisation. So again, we've got tiny text here because there's so much to put in there, so I'll read out some of the key points. So in term 1, core modules are changing world of business, people management and organisations, and foundations of effective marketing. So you would be doing those 3 modules at the same time. You would be engaging with those each week. Term 1 starts in October, ends in December, and you would usually do about 10 to 12 weeks of formal timetabled study for that. In term 2, it's compulsory to do strategy and practice, introduction to leadership, and financial accounting for managers. So they're all the ones that you would need to do in year 1. Year 2, you've got research methods and statistics, so that means that you're able to prepare yourself for writing a dissertation, doing your own personal research study in the final year, and information systems. And then in term 2, you would all do human resource management. So the idea is that during those 2 years, you get an overview of the key departments within most organisations so that you're adaptable to work in different departments. And I would say from experience, although I've worked particularly in marketing, design and buying, I did a general business course like this as well as part of my studies. And what really helped is, even if I didn't work in those departments, I understood something about what they had to consider and how they operated, and that's really useful for business. So at level 2, so in the second year, you've also got optional modules that you can cover. So integrated marketing communications, that's the one that I run for our second years. We've got consumer psychology, operations management, and then in term 2, applied brand strategies, entrepreneurship, brand strategies, identity, culture and society, and innovation management. You might also wish to do a foreign language option, which would obviously be taught outside of the school, or you can do an open module in the rest of the university. So you could actually study in a different faculty if you want to for one of your optional modules. In the third year, you can either go straight on to complete your final year, or a large proportion of our students decide that they'd like to do a placement year or study abroad. So we have many different connections which we would help to set up a placement or study abroad for you. And then in year 3, a big emphasis there is on the dissertation. So that is a project that you set yourself. It's customised to your interests and your skills and knowledge. It might be something that you've already got experience of, maybe something that you did on your placement year, or it might be an area that you haven't had a chance to fully explore yet that you want to find out about in more detail. You would also have core modules in advanced critical organisational studies, strategies for sustainable futures, innovation accelerator, and new venture creation project. So depending if you want to focus on those areas. And then you've got a lot of different options in the third year. So the third year tends to be where you're making it more of a specialist degree to a certain extent. So I won't go through all the details there, because I'm just not going to fit everything into the time that we've got. So in terms of how we study, there are lectures. We talk about reading for a degree, of course, and the majority of the time is students being expected to be independent and motivated, working on their own reading. That goes towards developing their knowledge and also doing assignments for the different modules that they're doing. You can study in your accommodation, or you'll notice around the university there's lots of places. If you want to study within the university the whole time, there are many spaces that you can use or that you can book if you prefer. In our seminars, students often work together as teams to discuss ideas. So we have lecture halls in here, as you can see, but because some of them are not big enough for the cohorts, and because we are expanding as a business school, we also teach some of the modules down on the main campus, so just down the hill, especially the Teaching and Learning Centre, TLC as it is known, where you can go today and you can find out more information. That's our 4-year-old building that is state-of-the-art, set up for learning and teaching. So these are just some of our internal spaces. And then for seminars, we usually break down to anywhere between, say, 15, 25 students, so that you can get to know some students on a more personal level, and you're not all just sitting in a large room like this during your studies. And we'd encourage you to be collaborating during those studies. So that should say business school. So that's at the Sands, which if you're going to walk around Durham, if you haven't been around already, this just to the right here is a bridge. That's the bridge from the Radisson Hotel across the river, and we're moving into that building in 2024, September 24. So it may be that you do some of your studies there. When I say we're moving, the academics will be based there. It's more of a central location, but you could be in a variety of different buildings for your actual studying. We have many other facilities. We've got the library, of course, which often has, at most times of year, you've got 24-hour access to the library. Certainly online you have, but also physically. We have extended opening hours. We have support from career services, support for studying abroad, etc. So these are some of the places where you might study abroad. I'll leave you to guess where those places are. There are obviously many others as well, and we can only give a selection today. You may wish to do a business placement. We know that students are particularly successful if they do a placement. It's not vital, but if you do that, obviously it gives you the experience of working in a graduate type job, earning money during that year. You still pay a proportion of fees during that year, but you also earn money, and we help you to set that up. So you apply for that in the same way that you might apply for a job. So placement year is at least 40 weeks. So professional work experience, and with many of the companies, the sort of companies that I've mentioned earlier. Obviously helps to enhance your CV, but experience tells us that frequently someone who's done a placement will actually get a particularly good degree because they've built up those business-like skills and that motivation and that performance. If you want to ask anything about the placements, if you go to the Teaching and Learning Centre, there are people there, but also business.placements is our email address if you want to ask anything online specifically about placements, of course. So in terms of entry requirements, you can see that there are some areas like finance and statistics where you need a knowledge of maths, and that's why we do ask for students to have either A-level maths, or we would also consider if they've got a grade A GCSE. We will consider other options as well, and our typical A-level offer is AAB. So I do want to tell you as well that if you find you haven't got exactly those grades, but you had been given a conditional offer, it's always best to get on the phone or get in touch in some way as soon as you get your results to discuss whether or not. I can't say for sure whether or not. It depends on the numbers of students that we've got in any one year, but it's always worth talking to your first choice immediately, even if you don't get exactly what you were hoping for, because chances are other people who applied and got offers also didn't get exactly what they were hoping for. So it's best to act as quickly as you possibly can there. So we consider all A-level subjects except for general studies, and we do consider other options as well. So if you've got BTEC related options which are equivalent to A-levels or IB, then we will take that into account. So when we're teaching, we start with intended learning outcomes. So we would tell our students what it is that we're aiming for within a module, and the point of the module itself is for you to do an assessment that shows us that you've picked up and that you can demonstrate that you've achieved those learning outcomes. So we look at subject-specific knowledge, but we also place a big emphasis on the transferable skills, sometimes called core skills or soft skills, that show that you're a person who can work effectively with others in an organisation. So we have lectures, so you might typically be, say, in this room with somebody like me for a 2-hour lecture per week on each of the modules that you're doing. And then you wouldn't necessarily have a seminar every week. We don't usually do that, but in my second year module we would have either 3 or 4 seminars. Usually every 2 weeks we'd have a seminar that pursues in more detail some of the topics that we talked about in the lecture. The assessment varies. There would be some summative assessment, i.e. something that you get a grade for in all of your modules. It tends to be much more coursework based. There are some exams, but it is mainly about putting your skills into practice and writing something like an essay or a report or doing a team project. You have an academic advisor within your department, so I'm one of those. I've got a group of 30 students who can come to me, whether or not they're studying marketing, which I teach. They can come to me and talk about their performance overall, perhaps anything they wanted to improve, or just to share with me how well they're doing. That's fine too. So your module tutors have office hours available. We also have a faculty librarian that you can talk to. We have an academic skills unit, so we can help people who need particular support. So a wide range of student support that you can find out more about if you become a student with us. We have 17 colleges, so pretty much like halls of residence, as I've mentioned. You can still be in a college, even if some of you might be local, then you can still be signed up to a college. You can still use all of their facilities for free without having to stay in the place. But you can use their bar, you can contact their staff, etc., and get support from them. So we aim to increase our students, but not necessarily by an enormous amount, because we are confined within a fairly small city, so it shouldn't get overly large. We will have more new staff coming in. We've got our new facilities. There's also Maiden Castle, which is our sports centre, which you might want to visit while you're here. And then if you go through the course and you graduate, you would graduate, albeit, given that we don't have any disasters along the way, you would graduate within Durham Cathedral. And what we did for those who were not able to graduate there in the pandemic, we actually ran some later sessions, so they were able to come a year later and still graduate in the cathedral if they wish to do so. So you've got the cathedral there, so that those of you who might have come here being interested in Harry Potter, so here's where Harry Potter and the Avengers have been filmed, and then over the other side we've got the castle, which belongs to the university. We also own some of these buildings here and ran this area. So if you have any further questions, feel free to contact Study at Durham. But I'm going to pass you on to one of our students who's on the programme now, Brianna, who's going to tell you a little bit about what it's really like from her side. You'll have a chance to ask questions at the end as well if you want to think of any questions.
Hi everyone, I'm Brianna. Can you hear me from the back? Okay, so I'm just going to talk to you about my personal experience as a student in Durham University. So I'm a second year studying business and management, and I'm in Grey College. And next year, hopefully, I'm going on placement. So as I said, I'm in Grey College, and as you apply to the university, you get to choose which college you want to be in. There are 17 different colleges, and you select what you want based on options, whether you want to be catered, self-catered, if you want to be in a large college or a smaller one, or depending on the college spirit. So you can get involved in college life and the JCR. So the JCR is the Junior Common Room, and that's where students run basically events for other students and govern the student body. So your college, apart from being your accommodation, is also a point of contact for student support and welfare. So if you ever have any issues or any problems you want to discuss, you can go to your college welfare officer, or if you just want to take a break in the common room, you can. So the JCR typically runs events throughout the year. So in the winter, we have the winter balls. Over the summer, which is now, we have the summer balls, bops, formals, college days. And it's just basically a period of fun and connecting with other students. Durham has many societies you can join. If you want to meet up with new friends, if you have a similar interest, passion, hobby, you can join different societies. I've joined 6 societies in my time here, and it ranges from cultural societies to volunteering, academic, and religious. And you can basically choose whatever you want to do. They're really strange societies. We've got the Wine Society, Cheese Society, Hummus, Curry. I'm hungry, that's why I'm listing all the food societies. But yeah, we've also got sports societies you can join. So if you're into volleyball, football, rugby, you can do that. So the thing with societies is you can join with the Durham-wide societies, or your college would also have societies. Things to do in Durham. This has been my second year in review. If you look at the top, those are when we go for the winter balls and the bops. Paint and sips, you can go on picnic dates with your friends. There's so much to do in Durham, and it's basically about how you want to spend your time. So if you are somebody who loves to go out and have fun, you can go for nights out with friends. If you're an introvert and you like to stay in, you could meet up with people who are like-minded and go for a walk around the town, go for a walk around the city, meet up, have food, yeah.